I think to frame that, the short answer is we are passionate about finding ways to help our students sort of leave Stanford more confident in their personal innovation process. So it's all about creating the innovators who go out in the world. Behind that, I think, is this movement that we see from design to design thinking. And maybe what I'll do is I'll just frame that as a context to why we felt that D.school was important. We call ourselves the D.school, and in reality, most people think we're a design school. And for us, it's less about design and more about design thinking, which I'll talk about. And we're technically not a school. And I'll talk about why that's important. There is a long history of design schools. And when you think of design, and it's most people think of some individual designer who works in the studio and comes up with a big idea for the world. And they usually also think of it as designing products or things, either making pretty lamps or chairs or laptops. And Stanford has a long history in design, in our joint program in design, and it's about product design. But there's this movement from design to what we call design thinking. In the last 5 to 10 years, it became obvious that to us that products and services were not the only thing that required innovation or required us to be creative. How you build a company and what your business model is, and how do you design a service like the hospital experience or the public radio experience. How do you redesign education? All these things require creativity in the vision of what it is and the execution of what it is. But when you recognize that those become the innovation challenges, who sits at the innovation table is a lot broader. It's no longer an individual designer, it's a group of people, a group of experts. So it moves to being a group activity, and you want lots of different experts. You need to have your engineers, you need to have your business experts, you need to have your psychologists, your anthropologists, and your designers all need to figure out how to work collectively together. So design to design thinking starts to encompass, for us, you have to worry about technology. This would be issues of feasibility, issues of business, that's viability, and what we might call human values. So that includes things like usability, what you might think of, is it easy to use, interaction design, do people know how to use it, but perhaps more importantly, desirability. Does it mean something to people? Does it make their life better? So if you're only thinking about product design, you might be thinking about form and function, like engineering and art. But all of a sudden, you need to be thinking of a different group of experts who are at the table. So if you think of the D.school, our faculty and students come from all these different places. We have faculty and students who come from the engineering school, whether it's mechanical engineering or electrical engineering or computer science or medicine. You have folks coming from business, in the business school. You have folks coming from the social sciences like psychology, anthropology, education like the ed school. You also have your artists and your... So the challenge then is, if this is what it takes to innovate out in the world and designing something more than a product, like designing a new experience, how do you get this group of people to get along and be productive? We've found you can't just throw the experts together and expect them to get along, that even the folks who have the best intention often disband before they see the fruits of their labor. Just because they have different norms, different cultures, different constraints and different criteria of what's meaningful and valuable. and so it's challenging. So our goal is to prepare students to work productively in this way on teams. You may have heard some talk about T-shaped people. So you think, what does it take to prepare someone to be more innovative when they go out in the world? So you need someone to be expert. So if you think of T-shaped people, we think of like a T. They need to have their center of gravity, their expertise. And it might be in business or in engineering or in social sciences. But if you just get a group of people who are expert together, they have no way to work together or get along. So the question is, how do you have what we call design thinking? Some of our other friends might call it integrative thinking, or this might be more analytical, and this is more synthesis-based. Integrative thinking, insight-based, you have empathy for each other's disciplines. If you get a group of people together who look like this, they have different areas of expertise, all of a sudden, you can find those unexplored innovation spaces that don't fall neatly in the discipline, that leverage the combination of their points of view, and this is what allows them to get along. So our goal is to shape students who are prepared to be more innovative on multidisciplinary challenges, regardless of the domain.